So, ladies and gentlemen from a bygone age, I was trying to think what. Let me let you have a look at it. Yes. It is a Danelectro Longhorn. Rare beast. I'll tell you now. I'll tell you right now. These are made from the finest unobtainium because I think they only made about 4. So yes. So I was trying to think what this instrument put me in mind of. Well, apart from a Danelectro, obviously, and it reminded me of my childhood in the mid-16th century. It's a lyre, isn't it? Does that not look like a medieval lyre to you? Well, it does to me, but then again, I probably remember them slightly better. Okie dokie, so let's have a little listen to this really beautiful and quite bizarre instrument within a musical setting. And what I'll do when I play it with a little backing track is I will go through the pickups and the in-between selections, because you do have a 5-way selector switch, which of course does your bridge, then the position between the bridge and centre, and then the centre, and then the position between the centre and the neck, and then the neck, a bit like a Strat, if you see what I mean, in that way. So we'll have a listen to a bit of a tune. I'm not playing a noisy one because these are not a distorted guitar sounding kind of instrument. It's a classic Britpop kind of thing. So just a little bit of a bluesy thing, and then we'll have a run through the pickups, and I'll tell you what I possibly can about it. All right, let's go. So, okay, it's pickup time, and let's have you down here, then you can see what I'm doing. Yes, so of course we have 1 volume, 1 tone, and a 5-position blade switch. Stratocaster style. In fact, many of the features, well, we'll go into that in a few minutes, but let's have a listen to the pickups first. So we're first on the bridge position. My word, that is sharp and crisp and spanky as you like. Into the position between the bridge and the centre. Hear the difference there between the volumes? Okay, so into the centre. Into the position between the centre and the neck. And finally, onto the neck. Okie dokie. Let's have a good look round it then. Why not? So I hope that gave you some decent idea of what the sounds this guitar is capable of, which is, I mean, let's face it, it's kind of jangly and very, very, very Brit-poppy, but these originally date back to the 50s and were probably made most famous, the Longhorn, by, yes, I do have notes because otherwise I'll forget, and were made most famous in the late 50s, early 60s by a guy called Link, L-I-N-K, Ray, W-R-A-Y, and he popularised these with his #1 tune called Rawhide, and so that was when we first saw this. So right back in the 50s, way back when. Also, Dave Edmunds, you know, Dave Edmunds, the Welsh guy, I Hear You Knocking, he played one too, and I believe that there's a couple of videos out there that show him playing one of these. There is, of course, a bass guitar version of these, and that is famously played by John Entwistle, who you will know from The Who, and obviously, and here's what my notes for really, Rinus Gerritsen. The name just trips off the tongue, does it not? Rinus Gerritsen, who I'm sure you've all heard of, and he was from the band, I didn't write the bloody band down and now I've forgotten, that Dutch band that did Radar Love, Golden Earring, yes, so bass versions of this played by John Entwistle and Rinus Gerritsen from Golden Earring. So a very, very, very unusual kind of creature, this, in many ways. So what, let me take this off. So what is immediately apparent to me? We'll start at the top. Now, I had a 56U2 reissue, and that had the Coke bottle shaped head, and this does in fact have the Coke bottle shaped head, although it's not symmetrical. Here it looks as though it's been partially opened, you see, and the U2 that I had had a symmetrical headstock, which puzzles me because the body itself is very, very, very symmetrical. Now, they only made these in right-hand versions. They did not do a lefty of them, but they easily, I mean, they look the same either way up, do they not? It's a 69 guitar, if you see what I mean. Looks the same either way up. So for lefties, all you got to do is swap the strings around, and I suppose you can pop. Well, you know, it's up to you. If you're left-handed, you'll work it out. So this particular instrument was made in Korea as a Longhorn reissue, and and there are some knocking about, but not so many. And the 3 pickup version is just as rare as hen's teeth. You cannot find these blighters at all. We've had a look at the top of it and the slightly asymmetrical Coke bottle head. Round the back of the head, there is a sticker there that tells you that it's made in Korea, and judging by the serial number, it looks like it was made in 2001. Now, these reissues of Danelectros came out roughly between sort of the late 90s and the early noughties. You can see that it's got Goto style sealed tuners there, and of course the Danelectro logo at the top with the slightly asymmetrical Coke bottle headstock. You have got the indestructible last for a lifetime aluminium nut here, and dot inlays and 21 frets. And although it is 21 frets, I had it on my notched edge, and this is a Gibson scale. Unbelievably. And unbelievably more, the tailpiece has a very Fender style individually adjustable string saddle arrangement for precise intonation. Now, I'm quite sure that the Danelectro purists will not particularly like this, because Link Ray's version that I watched the video earlier of him playing Rawhide certainly had that lump of rosewood instead of an actual, individual saddle arrangement there. And I worked on, this belongs to my buddy Paul from the Fab Clocks, and I worked on his Surf Green U2, which had the rosewood tailpiece there, or bridge in fact, which isn't so much of a bridge, it's just a lump of wood, really. And also the one that I had, which I think was the Pro model, but anyways, that also had the lump of wood, so I'm quite sure the purists amongst you will probably not be very fond of that individual bridge saddle affair there. Now, as you can also see, whilst we're in this area, we no longer have the dual concentric tone and volume controls. What we have instead is one volume, one tone, and the 5-position blade switch, which, to be fair, it's got 3 pickups, so a 5-way blade switch just makes more sense than any other electronic situation than you could possibly have. So yes, we have 21 frets, and it is a maple neck, which of course is bolted onto the body with these 4 bolts here. Now, those 6 screws that you can see at the back, these are for adjusting the individual pickup heights. If I was to make a complaint about this guitar, what I would say is, if you have a look at the headstock here, there's no aperture or covered aperture for the truss rod, which makes me assume that if you need to adjust the neck relief, then you would have to detach the neck from the body and get your screwdriver in here somewhere, which is not convenient, and quite honestly, if your neck straightness is out, they're an absolute blinking nightmare to do, because you've got it on, you twist a bit, you put it back on, and then it's still not quite right, so you take it off again, on, off, on, off, on, off. Get what I mean? So happily, this one is fine. We have put some new strings on it and got the action to an acceptable height, and it is, and the body in traditional Danelectro tradition is made, of course, from a plywood frame which is capped both back and forth with a masonite body covering. Masonite was in fact invented by a guy called Mason, so no real shock or horror there, I would say, and it's basically compressed hardboard. Yes, basically compressed hardboard, and it's rock solid. That is solid. There's no chambering. There's no chambering in this guitar. So your scratch plate is clear plastic and screwed directly to the body. I would imagine that over time, as this becomes floppy, you can probably, stick a few picks in there, can't you? Just shove them in, which would be useful. And I love it. I really, really love it. It's this because you don't see it. It's the only, as far as I can think, it's the only one. And it looks to me very, very much like the kind of thing that Prince might have owned. And I wonder if that guy who designed his guitars took a little bit of inspiration from this. So I think that we've done it all, really. So the electronics are fairly more straightforward than those usual plumber's nightmares dual concentric jobs, because let me tell you, I've worked on those and they are tricky. So this is excellent. 3 pickups, maple neck, masonite body, plywood frame, decent sim Goto tuners, made in Korea, 2001, and there's half a dozen of them in the UK, I reckon, something like that. If you can find one of these, then you'll have done very, very well. I think there's one for sale at the moment on either on Reverb or eBay, and I think they want about 500 quid for it, which quite frankly I think is very, very cheap for something as rare and exclusive as this, because you ain't going to see many of them. So that's it from me and the Longhorn, and thanks all ever so much for tuning in. It's been a joy as always. So it's adios amigos. I'll see you soon. Ta-ra.